Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the HIRAKU 3-minute thesis competition 2020. We have just finished the Japanese division, and now we would like to start the final competition for the English division. My name is Rumi Burwell. I'm your MC for today. The HIRAKU 3MT competition is an exciting opportunity for doctorate students to effectively explain their research within a limited time span of 3 minutes. The competition aims to develop the doctorate's presentation and research communication skills while leading to society, enhancing their understanding of doctorate resources and researches. The event will be hosted by Hiroshima University in collaboration with multiple sponsors and cooperators. To begin with, representing the host organization, Ochi Mitsuo, President of Hiroshima University, will present you his opening remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ochi Mitsuo, President of Hiroshima University. I am delighted to see so many people participating in the HIRAKU 3 minutes competition 2020 and would like to thank you all for participating. This competition is a very exciting opportunity for PhD students to effectively explain their research and future vision within a limited time span of 3 minutes, using only a single slide and in a language appropriate to a non-specialist audience. The competition has been held as a part of the initiatives of the consortium program, Home for Innovative Researchers and Active Knowledge Users, or HIRAKU in short. The lead partner organization of this program is Hiroshima University, and the co-partner organizations are Yamaguchi University and Tokushima University. The consortium has been working together since 2014 with the aim of promoting the advancement and the development of young researchers through regional collaboration. The competition itself has been held annually since 2015, with this year being the 6th edition of it. This year's competition is conducted entirely online and be expanded so that all doctorates enrolled in any Japanese university will be eligible to participate. For the Japanese and English divisions, there were 62 applications in total from 24 national public and private universities. The finalists whom we welcome to the final stage today have been selected as a result of the rigorous screening process of the applicants' videos. We would like the finalists to reach out to as many audiences as possible via this competition, explaining what their research is all about and what is so fascinating about it. Even though the world is currently facing quite a serious situation due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I sincerely hope that the continued efforts of today's finalists will encourage as many people as possible to overcome this situation and aspire to work toward the brilliant future in the post-COVID-19 world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Ochi. Now, we are honored to share with you a guest speech from Professor Alasdair McEvan, Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Queensland, Australia, or UQ for short. As some of you may know, the 3-minute thesis was initially launched by UQ.
It's a pleasure to address you today. Congratulations on staging the HIRAKU 3-minute thesis competition. Due to COVID-19 distancing measures and public gathering restrictions around the world, 3-minute thesis competitions have moved to a virtual format in many cases, but that hasn't affected the quality of the presentations or the enthusiasm of the wide range of people from the business sector, the general public, and the next generation of potential researchers who see the great work that graduate researchers are producing. In September, we held UQ's 13th 3-minute thesis competition with a record number of competitors, over 300 students. Since its commencement at UQ, the competition has grown, so it's now held in more than 900 universities across over 80 countries. You may be wondering how the idea for the 3-minute thesis competition came about. Well, there's an interesting story behind this. It occurred when the state of Queensland was suffering a severe drought, and we were urged to save water by taking showers in only 3 minutes. To encourage this, our state government provided a 3-minute timer for use in the shower. During one of his showers, our dean at the time, Professor Alan Lawson, considered whether maybe an 80,000 word PhD thesis could be condensed into just 3 minutes. And from this, the idea of the 3-minute thesis competition came about. In these challenging times, it's important to remind ourselves about what great work our graduate researchers are performing and its potential impact. The 3-minute thesis really develops and showcases their fantastic presentation skills and helps them prepare for a future career. And as we recover from COVID, our countries need this talent of our graduate researchers more than ever. I congratulate the HIRAKU Consortium and all the students taking part in this event. Well done and good luck.
Thank you very much, Professor McEvan. Now let me brief you about today's program. We will start the 3-minute presentation from the 10 doctorate finalists from 3:40. Through a video screening process, today's finalists were chosen out of 62 applications from 24 universities across Japan in total. You can find more information about the finalists from page 15 in the competition e-booklet that we have distributed online beforehand to the pre-registered audience. We have also shared the link in the Zoom chat. From around 4:40, the audience voting window will be opened. Soon after, you can enjoy the panel talk presented by the finalists. The award ceremony is expected to start from 5:15. So who will be winning this year? We can't wait to find out, can we? All right, let me now introduce the judging panel. Judges, could you please turn on your camera now? The judging panel is chaired by Professor Tate Shinichi, Executive Vice President at Hiroshima University. The chair will be supported by 6 more judges: Dr. Harayama Yuko from Riken, Professor Brent Ritchie from the University of Queensland, Australia, Dr. Van der Doos Luli from Hiroshima University, Dr. Antoine Bouquet from Springer Nature, Dr. Horiuchi Noriaki from Springer Nature, Dr. Aoto Nahomi from Micromemory Japan GK. Thank you very much, judges. Please turn off your camera again. And you can find the detailed profiles of the judges from page 11 in the e-booklet. Okay, let's move on. Now, let me explain the competition rules. Presentations are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. We will stop the presentation if contestants exceed 3 minutes. Only a single static slide is permitted. A Q&A session will follow after each presentation. In the case of technical issues, we may switch the established presentation order or use the pre-submitted video presentations to judge the contestants. Let me introduce the awards on offer. The winner, runner-up, and People's Choice will be chosen from the 10 finalists. The People's Choice will be determined by the votes cast from the Zoom audience. In addition to these awards, 5 presentations from the video screening stage will be selected for a sponsor award. Here is the list of judging criteria for the Zoom audience. Is the presentation clear and possess an agreeable future vision? Interesting and exciting? New and surprising? Easy to follow? Based on these criteria, please cast your vote to the contestant that inspires you the most. The voting window will be open from around 4:40 at the conclusion of all of the presentations. Please note that the YouTube audience cannot participate in the voting. Okay, so are you ready? Let's start the 3-minute thesis presentations. First up is entry number 1, Go Shan Huai from Gifu University. Her presentation title is Dream of a Girl from a Developing Country, Myanmar. Go Shan, please start your presentation when you're ready.
Have you ever lived in a place without electricity? Have you ever imagined how life is going in such places? I was born and raised in one of the developing countries from Southeast Asia called Myanmar. In my country, more than 65% of population has no access to electricity. Even in the city, power supply is still challenging with frequent power blackouts. Fortunately, Myanmar has very rich in hydro resources, so about 75% of electricity is producing from hydropower. However, there were so many uncountable days in my childhood life that I used candles to complete my homework because of frequent power blackout problem. So I had a dream of utilizing natural resources to generate electricity to help the people from my country. My childhood experience motivated me to join the graduate school in Japan to study electrical and electronic engineering. Now, I am studying solar energy and its related research field at Gifu University. As you know, solar panels are electrical devices made from semiconductor materials such as silicon, and they can convert sunlight into electricity. Do you know, solar panels reduce their electrical efficiency performance with time due to device level degradation. This phenomenon is called potential induced degradation (PID). My doctoral research is to investigate the recovery method to solve that problem. Luckily, the power supply structure of solar panel is same as battery with positive and negative terminal. From that point, I got an idea to apply a DC voltage in reverse direction to solar panel directly. Reverse direction means switching the terminal polarity, and I used one solar module as a sample, and I did experiment at my laboratory by using -17 volt for 10 minutes at room temperature environment as I show in this slide. Amazingly, this simple and high-speed recovery method can recover electrical efficiency performance up to 85%, from 20% PID affected conditions. This method is also safe compared with previous recovery methods that need high voltage, such as 1000 voltage, and high temperature, such as 55 degrees Celsius, and long application time. Today, I am so glad that I can share my findings to all of you from this HIRAKU 3MT. My dream gradually coming true in Japan. Finally, I would like to say arigato nihon.
Thank you, Goshan. We have a question from Professor Tate. There are many other resources to generate electricity. Why do you stick to use the solar panel to get electricity? Could you answer that?
Thank you so much for the question. Can you repeat again because of I have the mute problem?
Oh, okay, I'll repeat that. There are many other resources to generate electricity. Why do you stick to use the solar panel to get electricity?
Thank you so much for that question. In my country, we have the hydropower resources and we are generating the hydropower. But what I found is like the electrical distribution system is not so stable. So I want to use the solar structure because it can use everywhere. We don't have to we don't have to construct the dam to generate the electricity. So from my point of view, the sun is always in the heaven, so it's very easy to generate electricity for my country. So I choose the solar panel.
Okay, thank you very much, Goshan.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so next. Okay, all right, let's go to the next one. We have entry number 2, Asano Sachi from Gifu University. Her presentation title is Discovery of the Glyco Island. Sachi, please go ahead with your presentation. Please start when you're ready.
Welcome to the world of sugar. Did you know that our cells are coated with sugar? I also didn't know that until I came to university. But now, I've been fascinated by the sugar in our body since I started my research. Today, I'm going to introduce all of you to the world of sugar for medicine, not a kind of sugar in chocolate or some sweets. The sugars are making long chains and coating on the surface of your cells. They have very complex structure which is related to many biological phenomena such as determination of blood type, cancer, virus infection, and so on. Also, they are telling us a lot of information about our cells. My research is focusing on cancer cells. Sugars on cancer cells might be telling us that you have cancer. In other words, when cancer cells transform from your healthy cells, sugars on cancer cells might change their structures. That's why sometimes sugars on cancer might be used for diagnosis. So, what are these sugars doing on cancer cells? How do these sugars control the fate of cancer? The answer lies in the microdomain on our cells that I'm calling it as Glyco Island. This island is known as a platform for transmitting information into cells, which is composed of sugars and proteins and always moving too fast. So the dynamics and the structure of the island have still been a mystery. My mission during PhD is to develop chemical tools to elucidate the Glyco Island on cancer. I've successfully developed 2 kinds of chemical tools and performed a biological study by introducing them in the cell membrane. One of them is a fluorescent sugar to observe its interaction and the dynamics of the island. The other one is a tool that can be activated by UV light, then catch the unknown protein in the island for understanding the structure of the island. I'm sure my research will accelerate the study to develop new anti-cancer drugs targeting the Glyco Island. Thus, I strongly hope that we might be able to save the lives of many people suffering from illness. As I talked today, the sugars are complex and not so understood, and they are very familiar with our life. Don't you think the research on sugars is so amazing? My dream is to attract all of you to the world of sugar through my research as a chemist and biologist. In conclusion, I promise you to bring good health and happiness to everyone all over the world in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, let me ask you a question from Dr. Harayama. Could you explain to the general public what does glyco mean in a short sentence?
Glyco means just same like sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes glycochemist says sugar as glyco or carbohydrate, something like that.
Okay. And would you like to add any more comments?
Glyco is, how can I say, the words that we can add before the some words such as glycoprotein or glycolipid, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Sachi Asano. Okay. And next up is entry number 3. Nitti Scadia Matthews from Hamamatsu University School of Medicine. His presentation title is Restoring Balance to a Fine but Occasionally Flawed Blood Coagulation System. Nitti, please start your presentation.
Here's the fact. In the United States, someone suffers a heart attack every 40 seconds. Fortunately, it's not that alarming in Japan, but every year, 15 million people die worldwide of diseases related to the heart or the blood vessels like heart attack and stroke. In most of these people, important blood vessels to the heart or the brain are blocked by a thrombus, or simply put, a clot. The main purpose of a clot is to stop bleeding. It glues the wound together by cells called platelets and several proteins called clotting factors, which together form a tight fiber-like network called the fibrin clot. Another interesting fact, clots can develop spontaneously in cases of COVID-19. Sad, but true. Anyway, clot formation is just one half of the story. Just like the clotting factors, another set of proteins are involved in the breakdown of the clot once the bleeding has stopped. This process is called fibrinolysis, that is, lysis or breakdown of the fibrin clot. Key proteins come together on the surface of fibrin to form a complex that initiates clot breakdown. However, this process is strongly regulated by a molecule called TAFI, or thrombin activatable fibrinolysis inhibitor, which, as the name suggests, inhibits fibrinolysis by removing the binding site of one key protein. This leaves behind a stable clot. Thus, there is a delicate balance between clotting and clot breakdown or bleeding. My work focuses on the interactions of these proteins, particularly TAFI, in clot breakdown. By using a microscope-based real-time imaging technique, I induce and observe clot formation, its breakdown, and the behavior of these proteins in the blood vessels of mice. By using a microscope-based real-time imaging technique, I do all these. And by injecting mice with an inhibitor to TAFI, and by using mice which are deficient in TAFI protein, I hope to demonstrate that inhibiting TAFI promotes clot breakdown. To summarize, TAFI inhibits clot breakdown, therefore, inhibiting the inhibitor promotes clot breakdown. So why is this important? Current modalities of treatment for heart attack and stroke include drugs whose timing of administration is crucial, and they work only in the first few hours. They also have an increased risk of bleeding, which is a fairly frequent complication. I believe that TAFI inhibitor, by virtue of its target specificity and its very short duration of action, will be a safe and effective alternative to restore the critical balance to the blood vessel and to the life of the individual. Thank you.
Niti, thank you. Let me ask you a question from Professor Richie. You mentioned this technique could be useful to treat COVID-19. Can you explain how?
Yes. The technique as such currently is not an established protocol in the treatment of COVID-19 but the formation of clots is an established complication. Currently, the established protocol is to give anticoagulants. That is, once a patient is sick with COVID-19, you give a drug to prevent clotting from happening. That is the established protocol. But our treatment is once a clot has established, then you try to break the clot. And that is where my concept drug is coming in. That is not yet established, but currently a clinical randomized controlled trial is going on to establish its usage. Currently, it is an off-label usage in COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next, we have entry number 4, Parimal Ravindra Sivan from Tokushima University. Her presentation title is Role of Suvorexant in Alleviating Sleep Disturbances. Parimal, please go ahead with your presentation.
Michael Jackson. You all know him. You may like his music, or maybe you are a fan of his unique dancing style. But do you know how he died? Michael Jackson passed away because of an overdose of sleeping pills. This was a very tragic incident, which unfortunately happens to many people. People who cannot fall asleep suffer from a disorder known as insomnia. Currently, more than 50% of the people in Japan are suffering from some sleep disturbance. Even you may have noticed this. Whenever you're stressed at work or have an important exam the next day, you cannot sleep. I know this very well. Whenever my sensei asks me to give a presentation, I have a sleepless night. Thus, we now know that sleep and stress are related to each other. What is the treatment for this? In mild cases, we can treat this by simply making some lifestyle changes, such as eating healthy, avoiding your favorite drinks like tea, coffee, and even alcohol, and maybe doing some exercise, such as yoga and meditation. But in most severe cases, we need to use drugs, such as benzodiazepines and opioids. But once a person starts taking these drugs to fall asleep, slowly they develop a dependency and later addiction. Now you may wonder, if these drugs are so bad for us, why are we still using them? Is there no other option? There is an option. This is where my research comes into play. We are trying to find an alternative solution for treatment of sleep disturbances caused by stress. Sorexant is a dual orexin receptor antagonist drug, also known as DORA for short. These DORA drugs help in maintaining sleep by blocking the action of orexin neurons in our brain. Since it is a newer drug, there are many unexplored benefits. It is shown to have lesser addictive effects as compared to other drugs. We are trying to find also its effect on our core body temperature with the help of a telemetry device and track its activity in our brain. Thus, I think my research could be a key in establishing Sorexant and other DORA drugs as the future of all sleep-related treatment. It may so happen in few years down the line that one of the students is very stressed about their 3-minute presentation, but with a little help from Sorexant, they can ensure a good night's sleep. In the meantime, let's all try and stay stress-free. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me ask you a question from Dr. Luli. Telemetry in neuroscience has been used since the 1990s. Why do you say your use of telemetry is novel? Is that the technology, the parameters you measured?
Thank you for that question. I would like to say the technology is not novel, but the context in which we are using it is definitely novel because we are using this drug to study the relationship between sleep and stress. And therefore, we think that we can find more about this drug and it can replace the current drugs used for treatment of sleep disturbances, which is why the use of telemetry device is a novel in this experiment.
Thank you, Parimal. Thank you very much. Okay, next is entry number 5, Suhendri from Hiroshima University. His presentation title is Effective Professional Development in Inclusive Education. Education for all means for all. Suhendri, please start your presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, did you know that in Indonesia right now, 70% or about 1 million children with special needs like autism, blindness, and other disabilities do not have access to education? Actually, since 2009, the government of Indonesia has been developing inclusive education program where children with special needs can learn together with regular students in a mainstream school. However, at the kindergarten level, this program has not run well because many kindergarten principals do not have skills and knowledge how to implement inclusive education. And they have negative attitudes towards inclusive education. They say, why don't special needs children just go to special schools? In reality, most of these principals have done professional development in inclusive education. Unfortunately, the traditional way of professional development, where these principals only sit, listen to the tutors, and sometimes feel sleepy, doesn't significantly impact to the improvement of their attitudes, skills, and knowledge. That's why, in my research, I developed a new models of professional development in inclusive education. With these combinations of training, discussions, in-field implementations, coaching, peer teaching, and focus group discussions in one package of professional development. It is called in, on, in, because it has 3 steps. The first one is in, means the participants will do training on the spots where they learn from the experts about substantial subject in inclusive education, and after that, they will do peer teaching. The second one is on, means the participants will practice to implement their new skills and knowledge on their real kindergartens, and the experts will do coaching on them. And the last one is in again, means the participants will do focus group discussions to share and discuss what they have done during the implementations, and after that, they will produce the best practice of implementation of inclusive education at the kindergarten. Guess what? Based on the results of my research, I found that these new models has successfully increased kindergarten principals' attitudes towards inclusive education more and more positive comparing with the traditional ones. And more than 90% of these principals participants believe that these new models has been very effective to provide them with skills and knowledge about inclusive education. So now they feel confident to accept special needs students in their classrooms, and they are ready to train their teachers as well. So it is like killing not only 2, but many birds with 1 stone. With these principles, motivations, and attitudes, I believe someday and gradually all special needs students in Indonesia will have access to education, because education for all is not a symbol. For all means for all. Problem solved. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Let me ask you a question from Dr. Bouquet. What will be the best way to promote and implement your vision in Indonesia to make the biggest impact in a short time?
Okay, thank you so much for the questions. Well, I'm lucky because I'm a national teacher trainer in Indonesia from the Ministry of Education. So with this method and models, so I can myself implement these new models directly in my field. And because of that, and then I can share to my college and friends and my directors in my institutions, because my institution is a national teachers trainer in education about inclusive education, special needs, and kindergarten. So after after this special needs is become a big issue in Indonesia, and I found these new solutions, then I think there is no problem for me to implement these new models. I think. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Henry. Next up, we have entry number 6, Clarice Gonzalgo from Hiroshima University. Her presentation title is Decision-Making Analysis, A Prism to Our Colorful Mind. Clarice, please go ahead with your presentation.
Hi. Do you agree with me when I say that each of us has a brilliant mind? Wherever you are right now, whether in your apartment or in the university, raise your hand if you think you have an amazing mind. Folks, take a look at the picture behind me. You might think that this picture has been edited, but in fact, it is not. It is completely natural. This is actually the traditional corn with normal traits, unlike the yellow corn which we're familiar to. As you can see, each corn kernel comes in different colors: red, orange, green, any color that you like. No wonder it is called the rainbow corn. This rainbow corn is like our mind, which produces so many colorful ideas every day. The way we process color is very interesting, because if we let light pass into a prism, light separates into its different rainbow colors. Amazing, right? I always think about this process in a similar way with how our decisions affect everything we do. In my research, I use a decision-making analysis tool which serves as a prism in understanding the minds of people. Specifically, I look at how decision-making affects farmers whenever they make a choice or when deciding what farming technology to use. Like the colors of this rainbow corn, there are also different factors affecting our decision-making. Because of that, I also use the prism of decision-making analysis to break down the factors influencing the decision-making of farmers and identify which factors are the most important to farmers. My research captures the stories of different groups of farmers, which allows me to publish data about important agricultural issues. These stories can even be compiled in a book, which can enable people to better understand the lives of farmers. My goal is to help policymakers and government officers to provide the farmers with the best opportunities they deserve, and hopefully to empower them. So the next time you see corn, I hope you remember this rainbow corn, the farmers who do their best to feed us, and how colorful and beautiful your mind is. Thank you.
Thank you, Clarice. Let me ask you a question from Dr. Horiuchi. Could you give us a specific example what you would like farmers to make a decision on? For instance, types of crops, annual harvest, or anything else?
Thank you very much for your question. Actually, in my research, I have studied different groups of farmers. So just to give an example, I have tried seeing the decision-making of biotech corn farmers and as well as organic farmers. So for example, how do they think about the other technology that they are not currently using? So from there, we can have a model and we can predict the actual decision-making process that these farmers undergo when adopting a technology. So that can be helpful for policymakers and government officers when developing technologies for farmers for the agricultural sector.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Okay. Right. Next up is entry number 7. Bilgun Elkem Orchil from Gunma University. His presentation title is Drugging Lung Squamous Cell Carcinoma, Theranostic Study for the Precision Medicine. Bilgun, please start your presentation.
Good afternoon. Lung cancer is the most deadly cancer in the world, and 1/3 of them caused by squamous cell carcinoma. Driver mutations in human gene often causes cancer, and importantly, at the same time, it determines the characterization of the tumor. However, only 2 to 6% of squamous cell carcinoma patients have these targetable driver mutations. Researchers try to focus on to target these driver mutations to fight against cancer. And because of frequency of driver mutations, it narrows the treatment options for the patient. Therefore, it is essential to discover a truly effective druggable target to cure the disease. In my thesis work, I focused on to find an effective target other than those currently used for patients' treatment, such as tubulin, the most commonly used chemotherapy target, or inhibitors against tumor vessels, and most recent and advanced target treatment called immunocheckpoint inhibitor. These currently used drugs faces 2 problems in terms of precision medicine. First, the lack of selectivity of the patient, and that leads to treatment resistance in partial. And importantly, these drugs generally targeting the cancers, but not strictly targeting the squamous nature of the tumor. In order to solve this problem, I used surgically removed lung tumors from patients and combining with them a powerful tool of sequencing technology, and we've discovered that STXBP4 and its direct action target TP63 have a potential to be an effective for those undruggable squamous cell carcinoma. Further, we discovered that STXBP4 and TP63 signaling is independent from current drug targets, and more importantly, our essay showed that TP63 is partially responsible for treatment resistance, in particularly anti-tumor vascularization or chemotreatment. Last but not least, STXBP4 and TP63 signaling is crucial to develop squamous nature of the tumor. In other words, it's very specific for squamous type of tumor. I believe my thesis work with other works from my laboratory is helpful to develop new target therapy for squamous carcinoma patients, thus advances the precision medicine. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Bill-gun. Let me ask you a question from Dr. Aoto. We understood the importance of the protein STXBP4 to target the tumor protein TP63. How do you utilize TP63 to establish the effective anti-tumor treatments? Could you introduce the concept shortly, or could you introduce your experiments shortly?
Okay, thank you for the question. So TP63 is the main guy who is developing the squamous nature. It is well known. However, the main controller of this TP63 is the STXBP4. So our suggestion is we aim to target the main controller to fight against the cancer, specifically for squamous type cancers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill-gun. Okay, next, we have entry number 8, Anamaria Daniela Sarca from Kyoto University. Her presentation title is A Faster, More Easily Available Tool to Detect and Quantify HIV-1 Maturation. Daniela, please go ahead with your presentation.
Hello, everyone. Have you ever tried to nicely cut a piece of paper using a needle? I'm sure you can get the job done, but it's not going to be very efficient, is it? It might take you a long time or might not cut exactly the way you want it to. What you really want for the job are a pair of scissors. Now, this is a tool made for cutting nice, straight lines in one swift movement. Well, that's the kind of tool that I'm developing to study HIV, particularly one step of the HIV life cycle called maturation. This is a really important step because without it, the virus exists, the cells make it, but it's not infectious, meaning it's pretty much harmless. Researchers discovered early on how important this step is and have developed many drugs to prevent HIV maturation. But as time passed, the virus became resistant, and one by one, the drugs stopped working. Now you might be asking yourself, so what's the problem? Just develop a new drug. Well, the problem is that we don't have very good tools to look at HIV maturation. We don't have the metaphorical scissors to quickly and swiftly dissect this step of the viral life cycle. So developing a new drug takes a really long time when you have to use electron microscopy, in this case, the needle, to see how well the drug works. Electron microscopy can see the virus in great detail, but it can only see a few particles at a time, and it takes weeks, if not months, to take these images. Also, not everyone can afford it, and you need years of training to be able to use it. Because of that, I'm developing a fluorescence microscopy technique, scissors if you will, that can see HIV maturation at a very large scale, thousands, tens of thousands of particles at a time in a fraction of the time and cost. This will speed up the process of developing new drugs against HIV and also help us gain more knowledge of this crucial step of the HIV life cycle. Now, I know what you're thinking. We are literally living through a pandemic. Why am I not developing tools against the coronavirus instead? Well, many people may not know this, but HIV also once started as a pandemic, and it never really stopped. There are still 38 million people living with HIV right now, and 33 million people have died because of it. For a little perspective, there were 8 million people with active COVID about a month ago and 1 million deaths. And HIV cannot be cured yet. But more importantly, the reason why we still need to study HIV and other drugs is because this is how we obtain the tools to act in the face of a pandemic. Researchers were able to quickly and swiftly identify, study, and develop a vaccine against the coronavirus by using the knowledge and tools that generations before them have developed to study viruses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me ask you a question from Professor Tate. How does your scissor work to prohibit the HIV virus maturation? What is the target to be cut by your scissor or drug?
Well, the scissors is only an analogy for being a very efficient tool. However, I'm actually developing a tool. It's not necessarily cutting HIV. It's just a form of seeing the way the virus transforms. So the way that this technique works is we are seeing, as you can see here, images. small colored particles of HIV. So when the virus matures, it changes shape. So the color also changes. It's a really neat way to see how the virus transforms using very, very common techniques such as fluorescence microscopy. It doesn't cut the virus itself. It just shows us how the virus changes.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniela.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is entry number 9. RADHIKA BIYANI from the Japan Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Her presentation title is Virtual Reality for Virus X. RADHIKA? Okay, please start your presentation when you're ready.
In general, when I want to attend a conference in USA, I need a budget of more than 250,000 yen, almost 48 hours of travel, and the most exhausting part is to get the visa. And recently, I attended a similar conference by Zoom. So no travel, no budget, no jet lag, and no physical exhaustion. And in fact, it was so simple, doing it just by sitting in my room and even in my trousers. So realizing the power of VR, that's virtual reality, is the new normal now. And this inspired the journey of my doctoral course. As we all know that we are in a virtual world today. And after the emergence of new coronavirus, we are deeply realizing this world. In my doctoral course, what I wish to emphasize is that we urgently need to prepare to face the next virus, that is the virus X, that may knock our doors anytime and anywhere from now. So here the million-dollar question is how to prepare before we meet any virus X. My idea is when everything around us is being virtual and can be done just by a click on the computer like the Google search engine, then why not our computers can provide a possible solution instantly for an unpredictable virus X in the future. In fact, till now, we have suffered from many virus diseases like the influenza, COVID-19, and finding an antivirus solution in our wet laboratories typically takes years. And such a long time plays a pivotal role in spreading the virus infection from endemic to pandemic. So we simply cannot wait and watch before we meet another coronavirus. Here is where my PhD steps in. I propose to utilize the power of AI, the power of IoT, and the power of supercomputers to establish a dry system and identify a super smart solution for the smart virus X. Here, I'm specifically interested in discovering biomedicinal compounds, which are made up of DNA, RNA, or peptides, and are called as aptamers, and can be used as antivirus agents. At present, aptamers are screened in a wet laboratory from a pool of millions of billions of candidates, and then a hit molecule is evaluated for its specificity, selectivity, and function to control the targeted protein of virus. Typically, a wet laboratory takes years of time. And for me, it took 2 years in my wet lab to find an aptamer molecule for Alzheimer's disease. So my idea is to perform screening of aptamers in just days by a cooperative integration of knowledge between the wet and the dry laboratory. What motivated me was to take the power of the virtual real solution to perform aptamer screening in computers for the virus X. Based on the molecular information that we acquire in the wet lab, we can develop a database, and then this can be processed to simulate the possible interactions between the aptamer candidates and the target protein of virus X. Once we have this molecular information, we can then optimize a hit candidate virtually and convert it into a fit candidate for the virus X. This will gradually help to build a new virtual platform for the virus X. Yes, so I strongly believe that predicting the future for virus X should be just next to the click of computers, and I'm strongly willing to challenge it. Thank you.
Thank you, RADHIKA. Let me ask you a question from Dr. Harayama. Are you collaborating with any researchers from wet laboratories? If so, what do they think of your idea?
So for my research, there will be two teams. Basically, one will be doing the wet part. So for the wet idea, generally, we are requiring a whole lot of time. Till now, experiments are done on the wet basis only. But because this process is taking years, and if we utilize the power of computers, and if we can collaborate with the information science people, with the computers people, maybe this can help us to speed up the process, which is taking years now, can be probably done in days, is what I think, and also the people from the website think.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. That was RADHIKA. And Let's move on. Next up is the final contestant, entry number 10, Kenneth Keuk from Kyoto University. His presentation title is Cheesy Epidemiology, Studying the Biodiversity-Disease Relationship in Bornean Primates. Kenneth, please go ahead.
You know that cheese with holes? Well, here's a paradox. The more cheese, the more holes, but the more holes, the less cheese. So more cheese means less cheese? Behind these very cheesy thought experiments, I want you to see that not everything goes nicely in a given direction, and things can be a little more complicated. Now take biodiversity, add diseases, and voila, my main research question. When biodiversity increases or decreases, do you have more or less disease risk? Your guess? Well, you could say pathogens are part of biodiversity, and that's why there's so many terrible diseases in the jungle. More host species also mean more targets for pathogens to infect and more opportunities to replicate. Diversity thus has an amplification effect, right? Well, sometimes yes, but in reality, we often observe quite the opposite, because to a pathogen, not all hosts are equal. A pathogen is only adapted to a given but evolving range of hosts. That's why you and a gorilla can get Ebola virus disease, but your cat cannot. Therefore, more host species not always provide more opportunities. It can rather reduce the portion of suitable hosts to a pathogens, diluting infection risk and leading us again to the cheese paradox. In science, apparent contradictions like these call for more research in the details of things. And same goes for my research question. So for my doctoral degree, I study diseases in wild population of primates found in Borneo. It's quite a complex context there. Up to 10 different species of monkeys and apes can live together in a single place, including iconic ones like orangutan and those funny-nosed proboscis monkeys. But these primates face declining habitats and intensifying human pressures like palm oil production. This can affect both biodiversity and disease transmission. And believe it or not, but in this part of the world, Southeast Asia, we strangely know very little about most infectious diseases in primates, even when some might be shared with us humans. Now, in places more or less disturbed, I collect fecal samples, or in other words, monkey poop, to see what pathogens these primates host. Preliminary results show that their intestinal pathogens have very different infection patterns. Some can infect almost all primates, while others infect only one species. Afterwards, I analyze with places with more primate diversity if they have higher or lower disease risk overall, and if some characteristics of the landscape, like human disturbance, influence the whole equation. This topic is crucial to explore, not only for these primates all more or less endangered, but also because understanding pathogen transmission in the wild is kind of urgent. If you paid attention to recent news, did you notice that sometimes, and it's not unlikely for primate diseases given our relatedness, well, sometimes pathogens can spill over to human from wildlife and cause global pandemics?
Thank you, Kenneth. Let me ask you a question from Professor Richie from UQ. You mentioned you explored the influence of other characteristics. Did human factors influence your findings in any way?
It's a bit early to say, but yes, I include some human impacts, like where human settlements are compared to the location of the non-human primate I studied. And I try to see if it impacts the disease risk. It's a bit early because I'm still beginning my doctoral research. But what I can already tell you is that in some places, you can find some species of primates. Like you can find long-tailed macaque right in your kitchen, actually. But for sure, you won't find some species of primates like orangutans and gibbons in villages. And since they won't host the same disease, for sure, this is very likely to have an impact.
Okay, thank you very much, Kenneth. And thank you so much, everyone. All of the presentations have been completed. And which contestant inspired you the most? Now, it's time for the Zoom audience to vote. You should be able to see the list of 10 finalists and their presentation titles in a small voting window popping up on your screen right now. The vote will be open for about 3 minutes from now. Please decide which presentation you thought was the best. click the circle next to their entry number and click the send button at the bottom. You can vote only once. Just to recap the contestants. Entry number 1, Go Shanhwai from Gifu University. And entry number 2, Asano Sachi from Gifu University. Entry number 3, Nitti Scaria Matthews from Hamamatsu University School of Medicine. Entry number 4, Parimal Ravindra Shivan from Tokushima University. Entry number 5, Suhendri from Hiroshima University. Entry number 6, Clarice Gonzalvo from Hiroshima University. Entry number 7, Bilgun Erkem Orchil from Gunma University. Entry number 8, Anamaria Daniela Sarca from Kyoto University. Entry number 9, RADHIKA BIYANI from Japan Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. And entry number 10, Kenneth Keuk from Kyoto University. And have you already voted? Okay, we will be closing the poll. It's a little bit early, but yes, okay. Hi, so have you managed to cast your vote yet? We are closing the poll now. Okay? All right, thank you very much. All right, with that, the judging panel has just started their discussion to choose the winner and runner-up. Whilst waiting for their discussion to conclude and the audience votes to be processed, please enjoy the panel talk presented by today's finalists. It will be moderated by the experienced science communicator, Dr. Shimada Kazuyoshi, director at the Japan Science and Technology Agency. So Dr. Shimada and the finalists, could you turn on your mic and camera?
Yeah.
Okay. This panel talk is presented in collaboration with the Japan Science and Technology Agency, or JST. The theme of the panel talk is life. Throughout this talk, we would like to rethink our concept of life, including our daily lives, human relationship, society, and the future, since all of these will be drastically altered as a result of the current COVID-19 pandemic. So how are the future PhD holders envisioning their future, and how will they be involved in the desirable society of tomorrow? This talk will hopefully deepen your understanding of early career researchers, while your support will expand their future opportunities. Okay, so Dr. Shimada, is it okay if I pass the baton on to you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. The lighting is not very nice, but let's start.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a major player in this session, so let's start. Yeah, so we might be able to enjoy discussion until 5:15, maybe, for 48 minutes. Is it okay?
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, so yeah, at first I would like to say thank you very much for your presentations, and you all might feel a kind of accomplishment and achievements of your presentation at present. Yeah, and in this session I would like to talk with you about the future society or future life of us. And in advance, I put two questions to you in order to make discussion productive. And the first question is, in how many years do you believe the vision you mentioned in your presentation? Could you please see your slide in front of you? Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. Yes, 3 or 5 years are many. And Koshan, you have 20 years vision, okay? Yeah. And Sachi-san, you made a very, very long vision until 100 years. Okay. Yeah, long. It's visionary research, isn't it? Yeah. I think your vision, if your vision comes true, the world, how the world will change is our issue, because you came from not from Japan, but from abroad, and your different vision helps us to understand the changing world towards the future. So I would like to pick up your vision in terms of the time range, short term and long term. Is there anyone who would like to tell your vision from the point of time range? No? So I will ask, yeah. RADHIKA-san, could you tell your vision in terms of the time range of your research, and how, what kind of output will come from your research in terms of the society, not only for the research result, but for the profit of society?
Okay, so first I will start with my vision, that how have I planned my vision for the 3.5 years, which I say. So for my vision to convert into an action, I believe it will take around 3.5 years. So I divided it into 1 year each. So tentatively for the first year, it will be required to generate, talking specifically about my field. So the first year will be required to generate a molecular database. So as you all have heard, I've been talking about the virtual reality. So preparing a molecular database for the targets. And I believe a deep learning tool will be utilized to collect the structural information at atomic levels and maybe at deeper levels. And then in the second year, the information that we acquired in the first year, or the molecular information of the molecules that we acquire, they can be used for the wet experiments. So if I take the example of the current, that is the coronavirus. So we all know that until long back, we just had one strain of coronavirus. And now recently, we have come to know about some different strain of coronavirus. So my idea is, so when we get to know, we collect the information at the molecular level about the different, the variants of coronavirus, and then we prepare the aptamer, which I'm talking about. We collect the information from the wet experiments, make it utilize and maybe merge it with the dry experiments to develop an algorithm or a simulation model that can run the virtual system for the new target molecule. So this is how we can cross-evaluate the wet experiments and the dry experiments. And the last 6 months are maybe kept for validating the applicability of the dry virtual system. So now this was my plan for 3.5 years. And if we talk about my life or society's life, what is the outcome of my research? So I believe if everything goes as planned, so I have a system that can immediately turn into a startup business. And because it is carefully designed based on the current need of the society. So I don't have to look for jobs after 3.5 years. I have a system that can convert into a business. So I believe after my research is completed, we can quickly, maybe in days, find a solution to smartly face any upcoming virus, which I'm calling the virus X, by using the power of virtual reality and the artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and supercomputers. So we can stop a new virus infection from turning into a pandemic, just like it happened 1 year ago in Wuhan. So talking of society in a general term, so my system can help save millions of lives on a broad level. Yeah.
Yeah, great. It's a very concise and concrete vision in time range. Thank you very much, RADHIKA-san. Yeah. Is there any comments on the RADHIKA-san's research in terms of your research vision? Is there anyone? Yeah, Beibun-san, please.
Hey, I mean, I should thank you to all your delightful talks. And I mean, it was very inspirational. And as it's a panel talk, I mean, I guess we are free to discuss. And especially with referring to RADHIKA's presentation, I'm very, very concerned this virtual thing. And as you know, the biology is not stable. It's a dynamic, you know, you can alter, you can see the alteration. So if you could, with mathematics or something, what you do, can you prevent those small alterations, how it results in terms of your hypothesis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Prediction matter.
As you did. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. RADHIKA-san, do you have any?
Yeah. So, of course, this seems to be a little hypothetical or maybe, but what we tried till now, what we have done, we doing the wet experiments in the laboratory, it's taking years of time. And of course, this can be a try and error method, but because the Japanese, in the Japan, it's a tradition of try and error. So in the try and error method, this can be a prolonged one. So if we try and like we can try to short this prolonged time, and if we what we do in laboratories and is what is the essence of my topic, that what we do in the labs is typically taking a lot of time. And of course, that's we don't get the information at molecular level on the experiments in lab. So for example, I'm screening for molecules and we screen the molecules in the lab, but we start from a large number of molecules, then we come up to a shorter molecules, and then we go on screening. So of course, that is a more fixed process, but that takes a lot of time. And if we can allow assistance from the computers or the mathematical tools and programs, so I think that can definitely be helpful for us. So because I'm from the wet side, so yeah, I can surely say things about that, and I'm understanding the dry side. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Shall we move on to our side on more human side, like Suhendri-san? Yeah. Did you have any vision in terms of your time range in order to achieve your vision in your country?
Oh yeah, because there are two targets in my research. The first one is kindergarten principals. I think we have around 90,000 kindergarten principals in Indonesia right now. So yeah, it will take around 3 to 5 years if we can train, do some kind of professional developments for them. So it will take around 3 to 5 years to make all the principals in Indonesia get the new knowledge of inclusive educations. But if the target is for the special needs children in Indonesia, which is around 1 million children, so I think that it will take more than 10 years. So all children will have access to education, because it is not an easy job for us. Although I'm at the Ministry of Education, we still have to cooperate with the Ministry of Socials and something like that. So yeah, I just need your support and pray for all the related parties to make this dream come true, so that all special children in Indonesia will have access to education. I think like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Clarice-san, do you have any kind of comments on the time range of research of you? Is it long vision? Do you think is your vision is long time range or short time range? How do you think about it?
Thank you for your question. So actually, what I wrote here is around 3 to 5 years. Well, actually, what I'm targeting is to map out a model about the decision-making of different groups of farmers. And right now, we are using this model called consumer decision model, wherein we can actually investigate each of the decision-making stages of the farmers, as well as the factors influencing each of those decision-making stages. Now, we utilize a combination of quantitative and qualitative analysis in order to understand what is happening on the ground level. Because I think the farmers, they are not being studied enough in terms of this field, right? And most of what we hear in the television are more on the like what the institutes or like the government has to say. But for me, I want to know the voices, the stories of the farmers. So in 5 years, I am targeting to publish different sorts of paper about different groups of farmers and their decision-making process. And I hope I can help policymakers to create policies that can really help uplift the lives of these farmers. Thank you very much.
Will the policy-making process change within 5-year time or more?
I believe that is challenging. that is very challenging, most especially in my country, which is the Philippines. Mm-hmm. But as a researcher, I still remain to be hopeful that these studies, what we are doing as doctoral students, they can have like good outputs in the future, good outcomes. I still remain to be hopeful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to ask questions to Kenneth and Sachi. You are, Kenneth's time range is 3 or 5. Could you please tell me?
3 to 4 years, yes.
Yeah.
That is basically the length for my PhD, yes.
Yeah, and Sachi's is a little bit more long in order to establish the sugar research issues. And but I feel Kenneth's time range in order to impact the society might be a little bit more longer. And what kind of difficulty or what kind of challenge do you feel in order to implement your knowledge into society?
This is really a good question again. Mm-hmm. Yes. So since my research project is a field-based research project, the field is what it is. You cannot expect what you will find. You cannot expect everything to work, obviously. That would be too easy, and we wouldn't need to do science if that was the case. So if the research I conduct for this PhD is successful, I hope to find relevant results as to the details of disease transmission in the wild. And this increased knowledge, it's what we need to first predict, and then later on adjust the policies in the places where I work, which are true biodiversity hotspots, but also emerging infectious diseases hotspots. So I hope that, such finding could help both prevention for public health and primate conservation and conservation in general.
Do you feel any bottleneck or difficulty in order to implement your knowledge in the real world?
This is once again one of the challenges I think that most of us might face as a scientist. I believe in evidence-based decision, and I think that policies also need evidence to be well implemented. And that's the thing. I will work toward the goal of gathering evidence as to how the ecology of diseases in general, how they're transmitted. And then I hope that would be convincing evidence for decision makers and policymakers to have beneficial changes toward that.
Okay. So making the decision making more evidence-based might be your challenge. Yeah.
Yes, and hopefully prevent the next emerging disease to happen.
Okay, thank you very much for your comment. Sachi-san, do you have any point of views in order to implement your knowledge into society? What is the difficulty and what's the bottleneck?
Actually, my research field is sugar chemistry. which is really delayed than compared to other fields such as DNA or protein research. But I really hope that this term can be shorter than this term, because the research on sugar is more and more accelerating than ever. So I believe this term and the developmental study of medicine will be shortened than this term over 100 years.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Sachi-san. Oh, and I would like to put some question to Parimal-san and Bilgun-san and Niti-san, and also Daniela-san. Maybe in front of you, or in front of your research, you may see patients or some people who are suffering some diseases. And how do you feel? What do you want to interact with them in order to implement your vision into society? Do you have any? Please raise your hand if you have comments or visions. Yeah, Niti, please.
Yeah, of course. So being in the medical field and doing this kind of research, obviously the end product is to improve the health of the society, of which we are also a part of. So that is the aim. The ultimate aim is to improve the health of the society. So of course, when I showed of my timeline, I was showing 2 to 3 years for a drug which could help in conditions like heart attack and stroke. That was obviously being very optimistic that it should work in that timeline. But your question as to how it's going to be exactly beneficial or useful to the society and the patients, that is as I said, the ultimate aim. So the flip I prepared for that looks something like this. So basically, I want to say that basically what I would like to do on completion of the research is what I've written on the top 3. This is also the vision and mission statement of my hospital back in India, which is education, and then service, which is obviously patient care, and research, which I'm actively doing now. Now, in at least 2 of these things, you can see the research is obviously meant so that at the end of it, you get better drugs and hopefully better therapeutics, which means better treatment for the patients who are suffering. And the other important thing is education. Now, when I say education, it's a two-way thing. You both learn and you also have to share what you learn with others. And so that again relates to the society in the sense, the diseases that I am concerned with, or which I was speaking about, are mainly conditions like heart attack and stroke. These are, to an extent, lifestyle diseases as well, wherein certain change of habits or lifestyle changes can bring about, or maybe at least definitely reduce the number of these diseases and cases. So as part of education, if you can create a better awareness in the society, especially the younger generation, as to, for example, we are talking about heart attack, stroke, some lifestyle changes like quitting smoking if you're a smoker, or avoiding fast foods and avoiding a sedentary lifestyle, or doing exercising regularly. These are obviously that are going to change the course of the disease per se. Treating a disease is one thing, which of course we need to make drugs, but of course avoiding it in the first place is the easier way out. So if we can educate the younger generation of the hazards and of the problems and the diseases that you can face if you do not take care at the earlier stage, then if you can make them understand that, so I think increasing awareness in the society is important. So these are different ways we can impact the society. One is through direct patient care, through the work you're doing as a medical person, treating or diagnosing, education by increasing awareness, and research, of course, which I'm doing now, which will hopefully lead to the development of some drugs which can give a better outcome to patients. Once who have the disease, can give a better outcome. but at the same time, educate the younger generation, especially the younger generation, that there are certain things which you can do without and live a better, healthier life.
Great. Yeah. Your vision is very comprehensive. Yeah. Thank you very much. And Daniela, please.
Yes, so I would like to say that the way that my PhD has changed my interaction with patients and people in need of medical care would be that it's creating hope. So it's very difficult as a clinician when you are treating a patient and suddenly their meds are not working, their treatment is not enough, there's very limited options of what you can do, and you can see the patient's health deteriorating. There's very little you can say to make them be hopeful for the future, to give them, I guess, the possibility to dream that they might still be healthy again one day. So my research doesn't necessarily apply to clinics straight away, but it does make me feel hopeful that we can now develop tools much faster. We can now find out things about not just a disease in general, but like a particular disease of a patient. So personalized medicine is becoming increasingly popular, and I think it will be the hallmark of medical care in the future. So in a way, I guess I would say that this is a flip that I made to talk about like what the future would look like if my PhD thesis materializes. But I guess I would say the same, that instead of months, it would take weeks. So instead of waiting for months for a new treatment or years even not knowing, I feel like it will be increasingly possible from now on to tell patients that don't worry. We have all the information we need. We need to work a little, but we will find something that works for you. So I think that's a way in which society will change with all of our research, not just mine.
Thank you, Daniela. Yeah, the word making hope is very inspiring under the uncertain condition of our society. Thank you. Pilgrim, please.
Thank you for the previous answers. And I would like to echo what Daniela said about the precision medicine. So it's already realistic. So, I mean, I have a medical background. I'm a medical doctor. So I have faced some difficult times with the patients. But just to be short, what I understand from my experience is, I mean, we need to be selective. We need to be specific. We cannot cure the disease as generalized. So now, I mean, as Clarice's corn, even with the same patients with same disease have different colors. So now the target is to identify the color. I mean, hopefully it will be precisely to help them. So this will be a huge impact, we believe, and that's why we are here, and I think.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. Parimal, yeah, please.
Yes, thank you. I completely agree with what the other people said before me. And I think like as medical professionals, it is to most extent, it is our duty to provide the best possible care to our patients. And therefore, like Daniela-san said, we have to be hopeful that our research can somehow affect the society's life and better their life. So I mentioned in my flip that it will take 2 to 3 years for my research to take shape. But that is also being very hopeful. And it's a very short-term, narrow vision that I'm saying that this drug will be helpful for the patients. But in the long term, it may even take like several more years. But still, we should not give up on our efforts and continue trying to make the society a better place to live in. Thank you.
Yeah. Sleep disturbance is very wide range of what can I say, difficulties for our human life, and so there are many people who are waiting for your achievement. Yeah, the future. Yeah, and Goshen, you are also looking. You also met your friends or your colleague in Myanmar who are suffering from a lack of electricity, and how will you reach to them after accomplishment of your research?
Thank you so much for the question. So at first, I think I have to go back to my country. And the second stage, I have to contact with the Ministry of Technology, or like at first I have to work in the government society, and after that I can show my plan for the electricity, and after that I can work that project for the insufficiency of electricity. So my plan will be within like 20 years later. So.
Great. So you will make government move onto the next stage in Myanmar. It's very
yes.
What can I say? Hopeful. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I might took too long time for the question 1, and let's move on to the issue 2. I put the second question, that what will happen to your life and the society's life after your research is completed? Some of your comments have already included the answer of this question, but do you have any, is there anyone who would like to put your prospect or future vision? How will our future looks like, or how our life will looks like? It's very broad question, but yeah, Daniela, please.
So it's something that I briefly introduced just a moment ago, but I think that with my research completed, and not only my research, because I know I'm very aware and humbled by the fact that I'm part of a huge team of scientists that works on HIV, and not just HIV, a diverse range of viruses and pathogens and all kinds of things that interact with humans and cause diseases. And I think that my research is particularly connected within this panel talk with, for example, Kenneth's research and RADHIKA's research. So in that sense, I do believe that the way the society will change will be that whenever there is a new disease, it will rather take, instead of months, weeks to discover like the cause and prevent its spread and to know how to treat. Does the treatment we have already work or not, and to control the disease ultimately. So I know that this effort from months to weeks is not just from my research. I hope my research will contribute to it. But I know, for example, that RADHIKA's work with basically testing out possibilities for viruses to control them, to see what treatment might work, what kind of source of pathogens they might be, in a dry lab environment, mathematically figuring out what's the most probable cause and what's the most probable virus, would be continued with my work, which is a tool that can, you take this virus and then we can quickly see visually, yes, this is what's happening. This is the one that we have to work on. And this is how we're gonna progress faster. And for example, imagine if the coronavirus pandemic ended in May this year instead of continued until now. Imagine if we had a vaccine by June. So speeding up these processes are of major public health concern and economic concern as well. And I think that before all of that, it's Kenneth's research that comes first, that needs to show us where do these pathogens come from? What do we need to do to prevent them from entering our human world? And if they do, what do we need to do so that we can quickly figure out where's the source and how can we limit it?
Yeah, our society will become more agile in the future.
There's an agile work, so we can become an agile society.
Great, yeah. Is there anyone who have the future vision? How will it look like? Yeah, Kenneth, please.
Yeah, thank you, Daniela. I feel exactly the same. It's incredible to see so many panelists like this that are in the different sectors of the same goal for this type of stuff, of diseases emergence that affects so many of them, so many of us. It's actually the title of the second one I had. So that's one of the concepts that I'm really fond of, which is the fact that health itself, it's not as restricted as what happens when you see your doctor or when you go to the hospital. Health is something very global, and that's something that the current pandemic is an unfortunate reminder. But I come from a veterinary background, and that's exactly how I see. I don't stop to animals when I think of a disease, because diseases, they don't really care if you're a human doctor or a veterinary doctor, or if you study diseases in a lab. It's how it is. This is the world, and that's why we need such interaction between different fields, and it's wonderful to see this happening here.
Right. Yeah, health. There's a broad range of health. You mean, yeah. As in the beginning, I said, thank you very much for coming to Japan to take a course of PhD. And because under the changing world, changing society like now, taking a different thinking or different vision from outside is very important in order to adapt to the better future. And so I would like to facilitate this session. Maybe it is 15 minutes will be rest with this view graph. It's, wait a second. I made a view graphs summarizing your, not summarizing, accumulating your visions. Let me see. This is map. Yep. Could you see the PowerPoint slide?
We cannot see yet. I think you have to stop share screen and share again the window.
Yeah, it's not yet.
Not yet. Oh, I tried once again. How about this?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. The second question was, what will happen to your life and your society's life? But in this session, I would like to discuss how do our future society and future life looks like, because we can gather today from the broad range of sectors, research sectors, and I could say in the issue of livelihood, Clarice discussed about the farmers' decision making, and Sue Henry discussed about inclusive education, and also Goshen mentioned the electricity from solar cells, and Niti, Sachi, and Bilgun, Daniela, Parimao, and RADHIKA all mentioned about the drugs of medical issues in society. And Kenneth is also mentioned One Health subject under human, animal, and environment. And I would like to ask you about the interconnection of your research issues. For example, I have an example. If you consider about the epidemiology from the epidemiology, you will be able to imagine between the inclusive education and the epidemiology, or decision making and epidemiology. And inclusive education decision making is also can be connected, and decision making can be connected to the screening process of the drug, or research process of a drug, and also it will be affected to the sugar research or sleep disturbances research, etc., etc. But it's my example, and if you kindly be creative in order to envision the interconnection of our research issues or our vision for the future, I would be very grateful. So do you have any comments or discussion points on this? Yeah, so Henry, please.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, Shimada-san. Since you mentioned about inclusive education, so that's a very interesting for me, because well, the main idea in inclusive education is education for all, which I told in my presentation before, that for all means for all. I mean, the same as like a HIV, I mean, so the patients and everything, because some kind of like children with like they don't have a financial issue, like in the Myanmar or something like that, about the solar electricity issue. Sometimes when we talk about inclusive education, we just talk about the special needs like a disability in physics or a mental, but it is not all about that. It's all about everything that we need. Something like, sorry for taking an example, like Kenneth, he uses glasses, so if we put the glasses, can you see it clearly? So we need special needs. I'm a special needs because I cannot speak Japanese in Japan. So yeah, like I said, the patients of Daniel, he can EHP patients, so he came to the kindergarten schools or he came to the elementary school, and most of the teachers said, "Oh no, we don't accept that's a patient with that students with the HIV and something like that." So it's very, very, very frustrating in this word, because when we say education for all, sometimes we just say about the symbol, but when we come to the reality, I mean, still many teachers and principals in these words cannot handle them with their reasons that, I'm sorry, we don't have skills and knowledge about that. So it is like a kind of pity. So maybe from these all experts, PhD students in these rooms, I think that we can understand that actually that we can work together to make a better world for this. For this society. I think that's all. That's what inclusive education and related to all students here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, Clarice-san.
Thank you very much for all of your answers. Actually, I'm so inspired with this talk, and after seeing the graph or like the diagram that you have created, thank you so much for summarizing. I have realized how interconnected each of us are in our goal. I think as PhD students, our goal is to help the society in each of what we are doing in our research. So for example, in my case, decision making. This is applicable for any field, only that I am focusing more on the agricultural sector. Now, how is this connected with each of your fields of discipline? So I have seen health, education. So in the agri sector, if we can improve this agri sector and we can help the farmers, then we can have better health for people because they can have more access to food. And at the same time, if people are healthy, then they can study more. They can be better learners and have opportunities as well, like to even have their PhDs, right? So thank you so much for this opportunity, because I was able to realize that interconnectedness. So we are not alone in what we are studying, but rather we are in like a system of a body of knowledge, hoping to help the society. That's my realization. Thank you.
Clary, thank you. Do you think do you have possibilities in order to work together with people in medical field or other?
Yes, actually, I am studying an online course right now in neuroeconomics. So this is still new to me, but it's very interesting because according to that field, neuroeconomics, they are combining social science, psychology, neuroscience in order to understand how do people really make decisions. And for that, I am really interested, because right now I'm working on the agri sector, but I think if we can really create a model, it can be applicable to any field. So it's very interesting.
Great. Please explore. Yeah. If possible, during your stay in Japan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Daniela, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so as Clarice said, I really think that we are not individuals when it comes to any part, any education, policy making, new drug development, ecology. All of these things are puzzle pieces of a really big picture that makes a long-lived, healthy, and happy society. So just for example, and I think there are many more, the coronavirus pandemic. It takes the collaboration of researchers over many fields, policymakers, education. For example, us in basic research, we need to discover what this virus is. How does it work? How can we prevent it? How can we attack it? How can we kill it? Doctors need to see at the next level, see how does this treatment actually affect the virus when we give it to patients, not just in a laboratory setting. Like, how do the patients recover from it? What side effects are there? So many things. And the availability of the drugs is made possible by policymakers, and the restrictions that they put on us, like all of the travel restrictions and the mask wearing, these are all policies that people with the knowledge in this field need to make decisions in order to prevent the spread. And education plays a really important part here, because people that don't understand what's going on will be very unlikely to follow these policies. So in a way, all of these fields are actually connected, and panel talks like this are a great opportunity to make new connections, for example. So someone who's in policymaking can listen to what a basic researcher is telling them about the virus, like, I don't know, it's airborne, therefore you need to have people wear a mask. That person goes and says, it's airborne, you guys, we need to wear a mask. So this is the way that people should collaborate, and we shouldn't just think that, this is my field, has nothing to do with your field. We should communicate, I think. I think that it's going to be so much faster rather than expect one person to learn about all of these fields in order to make the connection that, oh, what I learned from HIV can also be used for COVID. I should have a friend who works with COVID and tell him what I know, and he's going to be like, wait, I can use this for my research as well, and so on. So I think that we're all just puzzle pieces of a really big picture.
Yeah, Daniela, thank you very much for your taking my intention. Yeah. Yeah, RADHIKA, please.
So yeah, I quite a lot agree with Daniela-san. So like, what I also believe is there should be a match between the current need and the available technologies. So exactly, we all have been working on all of our are collectively working to make the society a better place to live in, a healthy society. So I believe, so like, just like the Society 5.0, that is the new initiative of Japan to provide a smart healthcare. So what I believe is, today it has been 1 year to coronavirus, and right now we still don't have a to the point exact, maybe the cure or the treatment, whatever we say. So we all together can work to develop a system that not only the specialized people, for the people like us who are specialized in particular researchers, but everyone, even a common people, every common man can himself or herself come up with a solution, or maybe like they can quickly diagnose themselves, because the problem is starting from diagnosis to cure. So if talking about the current pandemic, that's the coronavirus, so we can quickly work on something that can be accessible anytime, anywhere, available to everyone. So yeah, thank you.
RADHIKA, thank you very much. Maybe we will have time only 1 minute or two. Is there anyone who would like to say one thing at last?
I would like to say thank you so much for all the participants. Like, during COVID-19 and PhD is not so easy, but I'm really happy that I can meet all of you today and I can hear all of your research. And then I have a connection for my future life. So please have me when I go back especially for the policy making. So thank you so much for everyone.
Goshan, thank you very much. Yeah, really, indeed. Please keep in touch towards the future. And yeah, we are very good friends from today, okay? So, yeah, what can I say? The glue which we will be able to be connected is an objective to making hope of future, as Daniela said. So yeah. Anyway, the time is coming, and I would like to appreciate your active participation of this discussion. And thank you very much for your participation.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Shimada, and the finalists for providing us with a super impressive session. And it's going to be really exciting that you all collaborate in the future in some way. So thank you so much for my very nice session again. Thank you. And maybe Dr. Shimada had a little weak connectivity in the end, but he already left a great message for us. So thank you very much. Okay. All right. So could you turn off your mic and your camera now? Okay. Thank you. Well, and now I have a request to the Zoom audience. We have just posted a link to the feedback survey in the chat. Could you give us your honest feedback after the conclusion of the competition? We appreciate that. Okay, and now it's time for the award ceremony. You must be all wondering who the winners are. So, first of all, we would like to announce the winners of the sponsor awards. Each sponsor has selected a respective winner from the video presentations submitted at the time of the application. The first one is the Otsuka Award. It goes to Suhendri from Hiroshima University. Congratulations! Let me share with you the comments from Otsuka Pharmaceutical. Suhendri, congratulations on receiving the Otsuka Award. Allow me to explain why we chose you. Firstly, we were quite impressed with your overall goals. Even though you may not be a native English speaker, you spoke quite expressively, which is why I think your opinions would appeal to anyone who watched your presentation. Also, I find it remarkable that you made such good use of the 3 minutes. Please keep giving it your best to achieve your goals. As a supplementary prize, Otsuka Pharmaceutical will present you with a Pocari Sweat branded thermos bottle and towel. As you may know, Pocari Sweat is also sold in Indonesia. We hope you will like them. Tsutsui Hironori at Otsuka Pharmaceutical. Congratulations again, Suhendri. Now, the second sponsor award is the Konica Minolta Award. It goes to Niti Scaria Matthews. Congratulations. Let me share with you the comments from Konica Minolta. Niti Scaria Matthews presents his research on blood pathology, making effective use of his presentation slide. He clearly and effectively uses his slide to explain the specialized and complicated phenomena and how his approach is different compared to the standard procedures in place. He explains these phenomena in a manner that is story-like and overall easy to understand. In the presentation, he enthusiastically talks about the prospect of his research, which is highly valuable as it contributes to the breaking down of blood clots that can cause heart attacks and strokes. The perspective of visualizing blood conditions and connecting it to social value is research that Konica Minolta can greatly sympathize with. Arai Takeo at Konica Minolta. Congratulations again, Niti. As a prize, various Konica Minolta goods and a pair of limited tickets for free entry to the Konica Minolta Planetarium will be presented to you. Okay, and the next sponsor award is the Springer Nature Award. It goes to Kenneth Keuk from Kyoto University. Congratulations! We would like to have comments from the judge from Springer Nature. Dr. Antoine Bouquet, could you turn on your mic? And yes, you're here, so please.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to Kenneth. That was an extremely impressive talk about a very important subject. The interaction between humans and our effect on wildlife habitat is going to lead to increasing mixing of the species, and is going to increase the chance for events such as the coronavirus jumping between species in the future. Your talk was very impressive. It was almost like a nature documentary that seemed to involve primates, Borneo, somehow also included cheese and monkey poop, all in 3 minutes. It was incredibly impressive. We certainly hope to see your publications in Springer Nature journals in the near future, if you have not done so already. So Kenneth, we're very happy to award you 2 titles from the English for Academic Research book series published by Springer, and congratulations and good luck in your future research.
Thank you very much, and congratulations again, Kenneth. As Dr. Bouquet mentioned, as a prize, you get to choose 2 ebooks from Springer Nature's English for Academic Research series. Thank you. The next sponsor award is the JSW Award from the Japan Steelworks. It goes to Vanessa Nadine Gris from Kyoto University. She was chosen for this award from the video screening stage. Congratulations! Let me share with you the comments from JSW. Congratulations on the award, Vanessa. I chose your presentation because I felt that your research by using a new type of technology was working on a very important theme. Particularly, I was impressed that reading the facial expressions of non-human species can give a new perspective to medical care. Also, since I am involved in the development of AI myself, I presume that you struggled with a huge amount of data and had a great deal of trouble before achieving results. I am convinced that the results of this research can be applied to many academic fields and industries and show new possibilities for AI technology. Please change the world through advanced research in the future. Congratulations! Muto Atsutoshi at the Japan Steelworks. Congratulations again, Vanessa. As a prize, you will be invited to join a special access tour of the JSW Hiroshima factory. And the last sponsor award is the Micron Award. It goes to Go Shanhui from Gifu University. Congratulations! And now we would like to have comments from the judge from Micron Memory Japan, Dr. Aoto Nahomi. Okay, could you share your comments, please?
Yep. Congratulations, Go Shanhui. Go Shanhui has a strong intention to improve the quality of life in her country, Myanmar, and make people happy through engineering. For this purpose, she proposed a measure to improve electrical efficiency of solar panel, and she did experiments and has achieved significant progress. She deserves an award from all the perspectives: her will to contribute to society, her ideas in her engineering field, and execution by herself and achievement. We chose Go Shanhui as the winner of the Micron Award. おめでとうございます。Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Dr. Awoto. Congratulations again, Go-shan. As a prize, an Apple Watch will be presented to you. Okay, let's move on. Now, we would like to announce the winner of the People Choice. Based on the polls cast by the Zoom audience, The contestant with the most votes will receive the award. Who was it? It was RADHIKA BIYANI from Japan Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Congratulations! So, RADHIKA, please turn on your mic and camera now. Thank you. And RADHIKA will receive our certificate, 80,000 Japanese yen scholarship, and other prizes. We would like to have comments from the judge, Associate Professor Luli from Hiroshima University. Dr. Luli, could you?
Yes, congratulations, Ms. RADHIKA BIYANI. You have won the Audience Award. Your fantastic presentation has certainly caught the imagination of the audience. I must say that your enthusiasm for your research topic was quite contagious as well. As you spoke, we are getting more and more excited about your world of virtual reality for virus X. It was fascinating to hear how you propose to screen the process of aptamers faster and more efficiently for unreached targets such as the novel coronavirus in a state-of-the-art dry lab. I'm sure the members of the judging panel and the entire audience are looking forward to seeing you again in the future and hearing about your more successful research outcome. Once again, heartfelt congratulations indeed.
Thank you, Dr. Luli. And RADHIKA, could you give us your quick comments?
So, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for choosing me for this award. I feel honored, and I just started with my doctor course, so there's a long way to go, and I want to contribute to the Society 5.0, that is an initiative of Japan to provide a smart healthcare for everyone, anytime, anywhere. Yeah. So thank you so much once again.
That's great. Thank you very much, and congratulations. Okay. So RADHIKA, please turn off your mic and camera now. Okay, let's move on. Now, let me announce the runner-up. This year's runner-up is Anamaria Daniela Sarca from Kyoto University. Congratulations. So Daniela, okay, you're here. And Daniela will receive our certificate of 150,000 Japanese yen scholarship and other prizes. We would like to have comments from the judge, Professor Brent Ritchie, Associate Dean, Faculty of Business, Economics and Law at the University of Queensland, Australia. Professor Ritchie, could you give us your comment?
Thank you. Firstly, congratulations, Daniela. It's a very challenging thing to do a 3-minute thesis, and you've done it very well. You've made it look very easy. Thank you for your presentation. You've reminded us how important HIV is, and you also linked what you're doing to coronavirus. So I think that was fantastic to do that. You had a lot of enthusiasm and passion for your topic area. You were able to explain very complicated terms very simply. And as a social scientist, I really appreciated that. Your slides were fantastic. They weren't too complicated and very much linked to your presentation. And you left us wanting to know more about your work. And so that was fantastic. You had a very tricky question. No one wants to be asked about the novelty of their work, but you handled that really, really well. So once again, congratulations. I look forward to reading your work in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Ritchie. And Daniela, could you give us your quick comments?
I feel very honored to have received this prize, and actually, I just look forward to being able to transmit this knowledge in the community and make it applicable throughout fields. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I strive for. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and congratulations. Okay, so Daniela, please turn off. Okay, and now it's time to announce the winner of the HIRAKU 3MT competition 2020. We would like to ask the chair of the judging panel, Professor Tate, to announce the winner. So Professor Tate, could you please?
All right. The Best Presenter Award is going to Kenneth Keuk from Kyoto University. Congratulations. So Kenneth's presentation was very impressive to tell us the relationship between the biodiversity and the diseases. So that would be tightly relating to the COVID-19 now we are suffering from. So anyway, that was quite impressive for all of us. So congratulations again. So I will tell you that, so as a general remark on the all presentation today, so on behalf of the judging committee members, I appreciate all of you, the presentators here, for their exciting talks. That were quite exciting for me. So the 3 minutes is a very short, of course, but your talks are conveyed as so your enthusiasm on their work you're working on. That was quite so impressive to me, at least. So beside this, so your presentation skills was very fabulous. It is quite impressive again. So I'm convinced you will be able to deliver your research result to the public more confidently or effectively ever in the future. We are expecting for your contribution. So once again, thank you for joining this competition, and hope you will keep the great work. Thank you, and stay safe, of course. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your comments, Professor Tate. And Kenneth, congratulations again. And Kenneth will receive a certificate and a 300,000 Japanese yen scholarship. As an additional prize, Kenneth will also get an iPad from Micron. And so Kenneth, could you give your comments?
Well, thank you very much. I'm really honored. I'd like to thank all the people who helped me back home and all the organizer for this really exciting opportunity. It was a really, really great opportunity. It was thrilling to be able to share my work here. Thank you very much. Domo arigatou gozaimasu.
Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much and congratulations. So, okay, all the finalists will receive additional prizes offered by the special sponsors: Otsuka Pharmaceutical, Springer Nature, Chugai Technos, Micron Memory Japan, and Kyowa Hakko Bio. And before we close the competition, we would like to have the closing remarks from Dr. Harayama Yuko, Executive Director at RIKEN. Dr. Harayama is a former executive member at the Council for Science, Technology, and Innovation, or CSTI, Cabinet Office Japan. So, Dr. Harayama, could you please give us your remarks?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank all the finalists for preparing so hard your presentation and sharing with us your ideas, your challenges, and your passion. Congratulations to the prize recipients. Personally, I very much enjoy listening to you. You were so inspiring and forward-looking. Since 2017, I'm participating regularly to the 3 minutes competition. And what I observe is that this event is evolving through time. In particular this year, we are online today. That makes our event more accessible to the larger public, but it makes preparation and logistics more complex and complicated. Allow me to take this opportunity to congratulate the Secretariat for their efforts. Everything went perfectly. Thank you. Also, this year's competition became open to all Japanese universities, candidates from 24 universities, adding diversity in terms of figures covered and approaches and research methods used. Your presentations allow us to capture your intention to contribute to the advancement of science, but also to address societal challenges. For example, electricity for all, education for all, addressing health problems, and so on. I'm confident that your work will contribute to achieving sustainable development goals. This is a competition, but it's more than that. This is a fabulous opportunity to discover your peers, young researchers with different scientific background coming from different universities and from different countries. space to inspire mutually. So all my best wishes for your future research, and looking forward to hearing from you what will be your next challenges. Thank you again for your participation, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Harayama, and for your encouraging comments to everyone. And now please all turn off your mic only. And all the other judges and the finalists, could you turn on your camera? Because we want to see all your faces. Thank you. Is everyone here? Okay. Now we are all here. We would like to conclude the HIRAKU 3MT competition 2020. Thank you so much for staying with us for the last 2 hours. We hope it turned out to be full of opportunities to learn, be encouraged, and delighted for all of you. For those who have missed any part of the competition due to joining late or internet connectivity issues, please check our official website, which will be updated with the competition results, as well as the on-demand video of the whole competition over the coming few days. So see you again at the HIRAKU 3MT competition 2021 next year. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.